Mission, I'm mission. I'm trying to get it right. Transition, changing the way that I see life. Transition mind. I'm on a mission, trying to get it right. I'm transitioning my life, making a transition. Ooh, making a transition. Ooh, 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 ooh. Making a transition. Ooh, 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 ooh. Making a transition. Ooh, ooh. Transmission, a mission. I'm on a mission. On a mission, I'm trying to get it right. Changing the way that I see life. Transition in my life. On a mission. On a mission. On a mission. Yes, we are on a mission and we are transitioning our lives. I
And we
want to
transforming lives.
Ashe.
I
Oh,
say, I say, oh,
this is part two. I mean, part four. I'm sorry, part
what
two.
for? Yeah.
Part four
Everybody,
of
that's my sister abundant child. Yeah.
of a series
So
of
got-
our principles
yeah.
of
We
IFA.
got the other day. Yeah. Sister got a library. She got a, don't pay the old man all, I'm put an ad today. You know, I had a chance to go to the, get my stuff done, but we're going to make it happen. We're going to make it happen. Yeah.
So last week we kind of left off at like the calendar, and I think this week we're going to get into the calendar a little more, and then we're going to get into divination practices and
Right. And
understanding
principle.
divination on a deeper
Yeah.
level.
Yeah. I want to
So
start today. Please forgive me for raising me. That I would like to start with the principle, and from that to the calendar, and then bring it all together. It's all a little uniform to bring it together. And I got some questions I want to ask, and I'm so elated to have an opportunity to be on this platform that I just fell in love with it. And I mean, tell you, I don't get offended, but I just love this sister, her energy. I mean, it permeates, man. And that's what the beautiful smile. I enjoyed him asking questions. You know, and I'm hoping one day I'll be able to see them eyeball to eyeball. But otherwise, hey, come on. And she got a nice library too. I can see. And she ain't been
Oh,
yeah, okay. Yeah, I can see back there. I see you back there. That's what she can have Stephen either. You know what I'm saying? And
that's
I
just
love
one.
it.
I got like so many of these. There's like
Yeah, right.
libraries in every room.
Yeah, see, I got my house, I got books in every room in my house, and I'm serious. Every damn
Exactly.
room I got books.
Yes.
You know. So, but anyway, yeah, sister, I would like to today we want to begin with like we normally do. Everybody always know us by now. And I would like to I have some questions that came to me, and I want to ask this because I'm finding out some things. I'm trying to ask some things that I think that we ought to look at. So I'm ready when you all are ready. Then just hop in here because we all got on this journey, and I have some questions that I want to ask, and I'm gonna need you ladies, you goddesses, to help me with this. I use the word goddess because everything has its connotation, but God is who you all are, because without you all, there would be no us. And trust me, and us crazy black men need to learn that. And but anyway, sister, I'm waiting on you okay to commence the running my mouth.
yeah, go ahead. Definitely, go ahead.
Well,
Start.
the first and foremost, we're going to learn to start looking before we leap. And what I'm running into now is that how many people went looking for an identity, trying to elevate their spiritual growth, and they wind up in all these different houses. First and foremost, I'd like to know, when did Santeros or Santeria become recognized, and what year? Lukumi, Kumdule, Palo, because as we read and studied earlier, the oldest known philosophy is IFA. IFA is the oldest one philosophy known to mankind. So where did these other branches come in, and have they moved us forward in life? Have it improved our life quality? And those that went into it. Now, when I went looking for an identity and to raise my spiritual level, to elevate my spirituality. I wasn't going there to look to join a particular house. I was in search of my cultural identity, who I am and what I am and all that. We have these questions, and I wind up being involved in Santero. But Santeria led me back to Ifa through the padrino that I met. He was from Cuba, and he let me know that that Santeria came out of Ifa, and Ifa is the parent. So I went looking for the parent. I want to go to the head. I don't want to maybe I won't play with 10,000 miles. I want to deal with where the real deal come from. And thanks to Padrino, and then from there I met with a group out of Cuba, Brother Oreste, and got my initiations and everything, and I became a part of the family. And they didn't put no demands on us. He didn't put no big demands on us and do this and do that. He was there. I also found sometime in that when we come into certain groups, there's a sense of jealousy. You come in there and you're in a house, you can't speak the language. They're saying all kinds of, what the hell they're saying at the time, just smiling and going on. They could be saying anything. So I try to operate with people that I can understand what they're saying. I'll go find out what they're saying so they ain't saying the wrong thing. So I'm asking today, and I know there's quite a few of them out there. When you came in, let me start with Abundant Child. When you started, beloved, what was your search? What started you to search?
I always was interested in just because let me just really tell you, when I was in 5th grade, they made us watch Roots.
Oh boy, yeah, Roots. I never forget that.
And I went to private schools. Both of my parents were making 6 figures, so we had the privilege of being able to go to these private schools that they really did have the best education that they offered in the state. And I guess they thought they were doing something, putting us all in the classroom and making us watch this VHS. And I was like one of the only people there that looked like me. I remember I smelled something as if I was there. And now, in retrospect, I understand what that smell is. Like, I have a very strong sense of smell. Like, I know when an ancestor is in the room. I know when somebody's demons are in the room. So that was the first thing that it really struck me. I don't like this smell. And I wanted to know more about those cowrie shells that people were wearing. I was looking at the whole aesthetics of the thing. That very beginning of Roots was so amazing to me. And can you imagine being in 5th grade and that's really your first experience of seeing Africa?
Okay.
And then the next experience is those devastating things that you see on the ships. And the next thing is, Toby, your name is Toby. You know what I mean? Like, I really felt very emotional. As far as I know, I'm a Stellium Pisces, based off of that, the 12-month calendar. And I've just always been very emotional, very intuitive. So from that, moving forward, I was always like, I want to read everything. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey. This was all the way through high school. In high school, if you look at my pictures, all of my braids have cowrie shells. Mine thing says imported from USA, Africa, 100% Black woman, always into the culture, always studying. And I met this guy, Chris Okede, who's an Igbo man, and he had this African store. And he was telling me what cowrie shells were, and they had all these books, Barashango, all of this stuff. That I'm reading so much stuff. And I keep finding out about Yoruba. And they were calling it Ifa back then. They were calling it Yoruba, the religion of the Yoruba, right?
Right.
I started reading stuff, and I found this book called The Way of the Orisha by Philip Neimark.
Right. Well, what got on Michelle?
My foundation. The next book that I read was called Oludumare. And that's where my thing went. So I went down to Clark Atlanta University. Come on, the Atlanta University Center, Morehouse, Clark Atlanta, Spelman. I'm
right.
who are native Yoruba, who are actually in the culture. I'm around people doing Santeria, Lukumi, Shango Baptiste. I'm seeing carnival, like people from Louisiana, people doing hoodoo. I'm just in. I'm done at this point. Hebrew Israelites, but through all of that stuff that I studied, Dr. York, Nation of Islam, Nation of Gods on Earth, I'm trying to tell you, whoever I was dating, I became that religion, right?
Right.
The thing that stood out to me the most was the Orisha studies, and I think for me it was really tangible. And so, just by happen circumstance, I was doing jewelry at Odunde Festival, which is a Yoruba New Year festival,
Right.
and I was
Right.
vending, and I met this sister. She loved all the things that I had at my table. And I'm like, and what's your name? And I'm like, Ife. She was like, Ife, you know that's a Yoruba name, meaning love? I said, yeah. She says, well, I'm a Yoruba priestess. I'm like, oh, wow, where are you located? She's like, well, I'm from Harlem, but I live in Delaware. I'm in like my second year of college. I'm like, I'm from Delaware. Okay. I come back to Delaware and I'm out at some festival, and guess who I see? This sister. She takes me to her house. Her house was smaller than, and she had all these shrines in her kitchen. Lost touch with her. About a year later, I joined her temple, Ile Goke, Temple of Spiritual Growth, and have been a part of that temple ever since.
Okay. Yeah,
it was called Ile Goke Ifa Temple of Spiritual Growth. Right. And that's when I got all my Ilekes. Then later on, I received my ancestral pots. Then later on, I got my Gungun pots, and that was all out of the Oyutunji lineage line. Right. So that's how I got my start.
Well, you know, and that's sort of how we got into it. But most time we was on a quest trying to find identity, either to recognize culture or either get us elevate ourselves spiritually. Now, myself, I was raised in the church, been around the church, but this was something different. And I noticed through the years that we as people of color, we would go to different groups to join, like from the Nation of Islam, we was Muslims, Hebrew Israelites, and the list went on from Christian, Baptist, Methodist, Episcopal faith, you name it, even Mormons. We had some even join the Mormon church, you know. And what bothered me was, out of all of this, moving around or navigating, what you call traveling, we had yet never established us as a people in this diaspora. And that became my fight, my journey when I was awakened. My journey was to go and bring our people together in this diaspora, because everybody had an identity. They could say this, that, and other, but it seemed like we were steadily trying to find ourselves. And so I was thinking the other day, a lot of our people got involved in a lot of these groups, Igbays. They were either looking for a connection culturally or spiritual elevation. And the word that I came with, out of all the different groups we've joined, which one has moved us up the ladder further to a unification as a people and develop us overall to that we can establish ourselves as a people of the cosmos. And what I mean by that is we got all these different groups, everybody saying different things, and they come back saying IFA. When actually, like you said, it was the Yoruba culture and tradition that we was joining, you know. And then every culture in every, like I already know, even in science, everything has.
What if I told you that we're not?
I don't know why my computer be picking up. You know how stuff is.
Yeah. So that's why I want to talk today, because I'm finding I'm getting all kind of phone calls, and this later generations is coming in, and I'm seeing spiritual, mental illness. I'm seeing spiritual, mental illness. And I said, what? Because we're operating on a artificial timeline. We're operating on a phantom idea. A lot of things we're getting is in what they call the permissive realm, but not the divine realm. And only a few of us, and I say us, have tapped into that divine realm, whereas we don't let certain things attach itself to us. We've gone through the experiences, and now we're at another whole level. And our people right now suffer because if you talk to some of these young people, they are mentally in a mental crisis. Never we had so much young people committing suicide. And because they don't know who they are or how to connect. And that's why I want to work through this account and then get to divination, because I am a firm believer. If we would learn the basics, take the burden off of it, let our people learn how to divine, you can get answers and solve a lot of problems. And right now, because you're not at a certain level, and because you ain't got this initiation, you can't do this. You can't do that. We got a bad case of can't do. And then when you try to do, the price to get it done is so astronomical, it runs people away. So we want to try to separate IFA as a binary system of communication away from the tradition. Not that we're attacking the tradition, it has its place, but don't make it that if you get this, you get that. What we need to know is a firm communication. We need to know how to communicate with our ancestors, how to communicate with the cosmos, and make sure we're in line with the cosmos. And some things that I'm finding out has been disturbing, very disturbing. And like I was telling my sister, if it's in a book, you can read, some of the stuff you can avoid. I don't know if you're familiar with this right here.
African oracles.
Yeah, look at it. And what?
In 10
After
minutes.
all, 10 minutes. Would you believe this? This is a powerful book. Okay. This book has all the systems in it. And it's only $5.
Okay.
One that really gets me is the one called
The White Cotton Road, the Female Path. Okay.
Okay.
I can't read it, so.
No. I just picked it up. But
okay.
And when I was reading, I'm going like, so so you got a masculine path and a female path. Okay. This little book has done more to help me to understand the divination system, other than IFA is the complete work of a room. And it's all in this book. Now, on what you might put them over the cost online now. But everything from the Marine de Legumes to pounding the E Kings to throwing the Opele. I've had students that I put in this. When I say students, people that come to me, and I've taught them out of this. And this book have changed their life and saved them a lot of money, because most of them go, when you go and learn these things, when you go and get these initiations, most time it's probably designed to help you to know how to divine what you can do and how to understand the binary system, the apathic keys, and how to use them and things, etc., etc., etc. You know, but I find a lot of people when they go join these different houses, they're left in the dark about certain key things that we should know. Even when I was with Brother Rusty, they would tell you so much, but nobody wanted to teach you how to divine for yourself. They kept that to you yourself. You learn it later on, unless you be like some of us nosy and you watch them long, and we learn by sight. By watching you do it long enough, and I compute it, and I go back and check it out. Well, I've been divine with rocks. They had certain rocks we could get in the Hebrew community, the onyx stones, and they're convex and with the other word, convex and convex. You can take four of those stones and divine with them. I was doing that back in the day. They told me with Wishman Rocks. No, I was doing the same thing that the priest was doing that had the E-pod, getting the answers, yes and no answers. And every time it worked. It hadn't been initiated, nothing, but I knew how to read them and it worked. So I'm saying this, we've got to get this burden off of people that are afraid to do things because you haven't got certain initiation. Yes, education before initiation, but you need to learn, understand what you're getting into. So when you get in there, you don't find yourself caught up in a mental stress because you don't have things because you ain't got the money. And that's been the thing. Because we don't have, when they told me I would have to go to Cuba, and this was back in the early 80s, but no, not early, late 80s, early 90s. Now I've been around this since 73. But all of a sudden I get to this house, they want me to go to Cuba, spend $25,000 to get $25,000, become a Babalao, and when Yemen Yah, which was the high priestess in Cuba, had did my reading through Marine Daily Goons, it said that I was born a Babalao, a high Babalao. Now, why do I need to go pay $25,000 for something I was born with? And they couldn't answer it. Then I found out many times they would come to me and ask me questions that I should have been asking them. So I'm looking today among the listeners. What was your purpose in getting? I know you was brought to it. I look, the real thing did me into, did in Amistad, did me into. But when you talk to people, they either have some kind of hidden agenda or purpose. They either want to find a way to do things to somebody, or how to overcome something, or how to block this, do that. And when I read the 16 Truths to Be Found, we're not to do harm to nobody or the universe, you know. So that couldn't be voodoo, because they were trying to kill up a half a dozen chickens and all this stuff, sprinkling blood and to run some person off or do this. And I'm going, I said, well, what are we doing? That is not elevating you spiritually, because the more you get rid of the imbalance, the more balance become, the higher you go up. Now, we need certain imbalances to keep the thing level. Now, I don't know about agree or not. I like to have your spin on that, abundant child. Do you feel everything should be the same, or should there be a slight imbalance to bring the balance?
I would like for things to be the same, but I am a product of this universe, which is light and dark, negative and positive.
Right.
You know what I mean? So in order to even bring forth a child into existence, there has to be friction. You know what I'm saying? Like there has to be an entering and an exit, you know? So
right.
Even in making that child, you know, so I would like for things to be easier and it always be joy and happy and bliss, but I wouldn't even understand, comprehend what that is, what that feels like if I didn't experience the lesson in the darkness and the pain and the suffering and the sorrow. So as you said before, there's feminine and there's masculine. Yeah, there has to be a balance.
Yeah, and a lot of us are missing it because we want everything to be all good. Well, all good can be bad, and all bad can be. It has to be a balance, and the whole thing is balance. And when I was beginning my spiritual journey, is that we're able to balance our celestial realm with our terrestrial, and you got negative and positive on both realms.
Exactly.
And we have to learn how to navigate this fantastic maze that we've been given, and people are taking advantage of us because we don't understand all. While we got all these different groups, you name it, we got every group you can think of, and most time we of color are all in these groups, and then you come out with different ideology. Remember, 98% of the things that we read is somebody else's opinion and concept of that thing. Now, what is your concept of that once you read and see that thing? What is your overall understanding? Do you understand what I just said? Everything we read is somebody's what?
Their
Ideology.
perception. Yep.
Yeah, that perception. So now, and we find us running, trying to fulfill their perception when that is not our calling. How do I get to what's mine? It's only through divination. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And by asking the right questions, then I know we're so busy trying to copy and emulate other people that we
And
come
other
better at
and
themselves.
Orisha. And
Huh?
other Orisha. We're so
Yeah.
busy trying to copy Obatala. We're so busy trying to copy
Yeah.
Oshun. We want
Yeah.
to copy Yemoja. Why don't you take the best qualities of those ancestors, those beings who were actually on earth, and evolve to a place of Orishahood where we're still making offerings and talking about them and making them live? How come you don't do that for the Orisha that is you?
Woo! Power to the house. Power to and right now we got all these festivals and we're emulating and pantomiming and you leave there, you got the same damn problems you went there with.
Yeah.
You know, there are examples of what we should do rather than trying to imitate them. We need to ingest the character or balance the character that we can move up the ladder. We're so busy. Well, you know, I'm this. No. This is who you emulate, but that's not who you are because until you divine to know exactly your place, then we're only imitating. And that's the danger we have. So I tell anybody, well, you go and you got to do this, you got to go do that. That's why I left the church. It had too many of what you can't do. You find half the people telling what we couldn't do, we're doing it behind in the dark. You know, we don't need hypocrisy. You know what I'm saying? We need a sense of direction. And that's what we're having now with all the madness. When I begin to research, and I'm so thankful for the ancestors. I'm so thankful for waking me up with an awakening one day and let me know that the energy that we're following now has been done away with. It's a new day. It's time for IFA to evolve, and not just for the culture, but for the experience to help other people. As Baba Mbambola says, IFA can mend a broken world only if you understand the system. Now, what do we do now? Rather than just teaching, now we got a bunch today, and this is no attack, down in Houston. They down all off in the water, they doing this and they doing that. When you leave there, they're gonna be in the same shape they was when they went down there. Nothing changed. Where is the community? Where is the community? Why we're not in Washington, D.C.? Huh? Why are we not there letting it, or why the Bible laws ain't coming together and changing this man's mind? Because in Ifa, if you get enough of us together, thinking on the same thing and dividing, we could change this boy called Trump's mind.
Yeah, we were.
Huh? But we're not doing
We
it.
just talked about that yesterday.
Tell him kudos.
He said kudos.
Yeah, because in the book of Orumila, you got it.
Right here.
Okay, there's a piece in there that says the white man. When you pull it up, okay, go get that, and it tells you what old do he come in under, and how to deal with it. I don't know no other book that can do it, and I'm so glad you got your copy.
Is it when mankind comes to the world from heaven?
No, it's about the white man. It says when he divide for the white man. That's gonna be. Yeah, we gotta find that. Folks think we lying. Let me get over here.
It's in one of the Oludu sections, right?
Yes,
in the first 16.
I hope you guys that are watching this got your papers and pens out. Because this is a teaching session. This is a learning session, not just So make sure you guys are taking notes. This is a learning session.
Yeah, and it. Let me go. Hold on a minute. I think it's it was under O'Shea Meiji.
Yeah,
And go to page,
that's my daughter's Odu.
huh?
That's Odu number 15. I said, yeah, that's my daughter's Odu. I'm
Yeah,
looking at it.
okay, O'Shea Meiji, but then it's on chapter 22 in the Ifaism book.
Okay, so Osei Meiji is 27. So let me go to
I want you to go down in your table of contents.
let me go to table 22. 21, 22. Osei Meiji, not Osei Meiji. Okay. He makes divination for the cotton. Osei Meiji prepares a shoe, finally gets the sea goat. The witches discover the truth, makes divination for the 16 Oba.
I think it's on you see, he made divination for the white man when he was anxious. That's gonna be
I found it.
You found it?
Yep, pages 201 to 202. He makes divination for the white
Would
man.
you please Will you please read that? Lawful. See this, baby. If you want to know,
ask IFA.
Ask IFA.
Laila, Alahu. That is the call signal of Otu Meiji, because he was the one in heaven who made divination for Baba Imole before he left heaven for this world. He went for divination to Otu Meiji in heaven and was called Ini Baba Laba. Ini Baba Laba, Ini Aba Laba, Ini Aba Laba, Lampe Ni Baba, Adifafun Imule. Abewu, let me skip the Yoruba, okay? Meaning any town is called an old man. That was the name of the Awo Otu Meiji, who made divination for the head of the Imoles to enable them to inherit the prosperity of the earth with minimal effort from a sedentary position. Baba Imole was told to make sacrifice with 4 hens, 4 cocks, 4 pigeons, 4 snails, and he made the sacrifice. And when he got to the world, he struggled for a long time before he was able to realize his destiny. But when he finally met Otu Meiji again on earth, he made the same sacrifice for him in the cave and told him that his flock was going to multiply, but the reward of his sacrifice would be reaped by his descendants and followers. He was told that money would always come to them with very little or no effort, and those who wanted to know the truth about God would always come to him for the message. He made divination for the ground. Let me get to. So he made divination for the ground now, and then he made divination for the white man when he was anxious to know how to manufacture a live human being. Not human, what I'm talking about. Human being.
Yeah.
The most important work done in heaven by Otu Meiji is the revelation of how the white man attempted to learn from God how to produce a human being. The white man had become so vast on earth in the field of inventions that he thought he should crown his achievements by going to God to teach him how to manufacture a human being. When he got to heaven, he approached an owl called Ayegbe Kushibere Gede. No mirror can be wide enough to see the length of a whole year. The white man was advised to give he-goat to a shoe, but he refused to do it because he did not believe in making fetish sacrifices.
Yeah.
So without making the sacrifice, he went to the palace of God and asked to be taught how to produce a human being. Since God never refuses any request made to him, he told the white man to fetch mud for the work, which he did. God has a large mirror in his workshop, which he looks at when molding any object. He examines the reflection of the object from one mirror, and he must pass it as perfect before confirming it as being fit for existence. With mud fetched by the white man, he molded the image of a human being, and the white man watched him. After molding the human image, God left to dry and meanwhile moved to his inner chamber to attend the other callers. As soon as God left, a shoe came to the workshop in the shape of a heavenly police and asked the white man whether he could not replicate the image prepared by God. The visitor confirmed that he could. Ashu then told him to leave for home with the image because it would speak after drying up. With that piece of deceptive advice, the white man left with the human image. When he, however, got home, the image could not speak after drying up. That is why the white man is unable to cast and speaking image to this day. It was on account of the sacrifice which the white man refused to make. When Otu Meiji comes out of divination for someone anxious to do something, he should be advised to exercise lots of patience so he may get to the bottom of the matter. And he made divination for truth and falsehood.
Okay. Now, based on that, what has the white man been trying to do? Now, remember, white
do everything that we do naturally.
Yeah.
They keep trying to imitate.
Well, not only that, but
make beings.
Still trying to create that image, even through robotics, through genetics, through cloning, all of
AI.
that. AI. He's still trying to do the same thing because he wants to be what? God.
Yeah.
Yes, he has a God complex. IFA tells us how to deal with it because he's not going to make any sacrifice to issue, right? And if in order, and according to this, he came in the Itori Meiji chapter 23, and that's the Odu that he came in under. Now, name me any other book.
I will tell you some other books. Mami Wata.
Okay.
Zogbe.
Okay.
She goes into it, and mainly in Sibbles.
Okay.
But in Mami Wata, she tells us that in the same Odu Osa Meiji's, when the contract was made with Iyami with the white people, the white men. Because if you notice today, black men, so-called black men, treat black women the way white people treat black people. And so what happened is the men had stolen a lot of the, stole the matriarchy and stole the pieces that they need in order to have the world where we're at right now. And what they did was they put men in place and they put women over here as like secondary, right? We talked about that also with the Lilith and the Eve thing last week. So y'all need to go back and read that story, how it showed up in there. But in Odu Ifa, it shows up where Iyami made a pact with the white man for all of our stuff to be taken away until black men return back to mother.
Yeah. And see, and
that's in Osa Meiji.
And I can tell you all the time, if anything you want to know about this dimension, what's going on, how it happened, how it got here, you could always look deep. Now, that is not about particular culture. There you go. There it is. It's about understanding the binary system, algorithm that was taught many years ago by, so when you had a question of thing, you could always divine and it would give you the answer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But we don't. We're still waiting on horoscopes and tarot cards and
which is great. They're all tools. That's all Ifa also. People, Isheshe and some people in Yoruba land might not want to admit that, but trust me, they're using it and they know it's all a part of this huge communication system.
Okay. But at the same time, what initiations are they going through to get it? I mean, what training are they getting? And what's like
these are actual babalaos, and people see a lot of this is oral. And so because the stuff like you said, it's based off of what people have written, right? We only have a small, tiny amount. We think we know so much because we got all of these books, but it is mainly have been an oral tradition because their culture is set up different than ours. Our cultures, we got church, we got mosque, we got all those types of things. Their
synagogue, you name it,
family. It's based off of the elders teaching and mentoring the children in their family bloodline. It's intergenerational. You understand what I'm saying? These people are burying their ancestors in their own homes, in the grounds. These people understand that they are lineage Obatala, that Obatala was actually an ancestor, and so was an Oshun, and so was an Shango.
Taking notes? Huh? No, I just I'm really taking notes because I know it's a lot of this is going over some people's head.
And you don't have to necessarily be initiated because your bloodline was initiated. If you have an Orisha that is your head, or you have something you're being initiated to, because that is a contract that you made to evolve yourself based off of the virtues that you need, that particular energy source. It's not because you feel like you're beautiful and you're Oshun. No, you need the qualities of Oshun in order to have a successful life on this earth. And that entity and energy was willing to work with your main Orisha, which is your Ori.
Oyori. And this is what I'm trying to get people to see. A lot of things that we made the contract with before leaving the
realm.
the realm.
IA. Room.
Room coming here to make this place a better place. Remember, that's already in you. It's already a part of your contract. It's in your DNA, And we come here because we don't know, and because we come here and a child will sometimes led into things that is not really us, and we take on these things. That's what I tell you about. It's important to know, according to the sacred calendar that the sisters built on the 13th. Now they talking about the 13th. Everybody want to know what's wrong because we live in a phantom timeline, or what you call a false matrix. We have all this upheaval because everything is so out of balance that the earth is trying to bring it in by purging. That's why they say in the year 2030, it's going to that the moon is going to do a wobble. And a third of the earth is going underwater. Have you heard that? There's going to be a wobble. Okay. Yeah. And people play because she's trying to get things back in order. In order to do, sometimes you got to bring in disaster to start it all over again. Because we still have not learned our lesson. As I was telling people the other day, if we are the oldest species on the planet, and the problem is, we've lost our way. So now we out there getting fat, partying, going on, and not doing our part. Now she got to come in and chastise all of us, And that's where we are now. Now, what are you talking about? You're talking about your spiritual living, because the terrestrial has a time limit on it. And when that time's up, we got to go through the process. Do you come back, or do you elevate more? Sometimes we have to come back to help those that left behind.
Yeah.
Bring them up. And that's why I tell people, I am an ascending master. I've came back 13 times. And I'm hoping that when I go this time, I ain't got to come back no more.
13 is the magic number.
I want to rise to the next level. But I gotta do what I have to do. So that's why I was so thankful that the ancestor IFA allowed me to create the 13-month calendar, 28 days. If you do the 28 days, there is no leap year. There's none of that. It's only 28 days. And if you do the proper timeline, where the sisters wrote it, from the Labambo Mountain, 13 cycles, 28 days, is all right there. Even among the universe, they know it's only 20, and they gave us the old do that it came in, and when they read it about the 28-day month, 28 days. Yeah, okay. Can you play that, sister?
Not in the year 2025. In fact, it could be 1727. Sounds insane. Stay with me, as this will blow your mind. In 1991, German historian Hermann Illig proposed something that shakes the very foundation of time itself, the phantom time hypothesis. His claim, the years 614 to 911 AD, never actually happened. They were completely fabricated, inserted into history, a false timeline that we've been living in ever since. But if this is true, who did it, and why Illig believed that three powerful figures were behind this massive historical lie? Holy Roman Emperor Otto III Pope, Sylvester II, Byzantine Emperor, Constantine VII. Their motive to rewrite history for power and prestige. Otto III wanted to rule in the year 1000 AD, a symbolic prophetic year that carried power, legitimacy, and divine importance. But instead of waiting, they simply fast-forwarded history itself. Think about it. If 297 years really happened, we should have undeniable evidence. Artifacts, architecture, written records. But here's the problem they're missing. Historians struggle to explain why this period produced so little physical proof, why there are so few major advancements, buildings or documents. And if this sounds impossible, just remember, entire civilizations have been erased from history. What year is it really? How much of our... What if I told you that we're not in the year...
Okay, that's good. That's good. Now, if they jacking with time like this, and another week we played one where it was taking about how this thing is off, and we're living in this artificial, that means everything we deal with is what? Out of balance.
Artificial.
artificial. So now it's time to quit being artificial and get back to the original. And the only way you're gonna do is you got to go to what? To the original people. I have no problem with our scholars going to Egypt and all that. But what about those that is older and go beyond it? When the sisters started it up on the Labambo Mountain, when they first built the first agricultural calendar for us to go by, and with the rising and the flooding and the Nile. What about the sand people who go back? Just I ain't got to go to the million, 200,000 years. We're still stuck at Adam and Eve, and you say that's only 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. We have ancestors who go back 200,000 years. What about their input into what things are today? Are we doing them a disservice? Of course we are, because they're the ones that laid the foundation. What about the people that came in from the Pleiades to the planet? What role did they play in this? What about from Nibiria? Now, Nibiria is where they said the white man originally came from, but he had to come through. He had to come through our dimension and get permission from old Monterey and the ancestors to even come to this plane, because we got it mixed up. White man does not mean color. It means a particular thought, an energy. Do you get me? It's an energy. Matter what color your pigment in your skin, it ain't it. It's the energy that operates within that matter. See, that thought, the school of thought, and we could call it pigmentation, because originally there was no such thing as a white man in the human gene pool. He was created in what was it? 1865. Yeah, called and it was under the Nationalization Act, a randomized a Black's Law Dictionary, Black Law Dictionary, 4th edition, page 792.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I gotta get, where is that dictionary?
Yeah,
It's in another bookcase with all my law.
Okay. And it says that what is a free white man? If it's a free white man, that means one's in bondage. And it tells you in there that this fella had to try to get some, and then you say that the Caucasian from the Caucasus Mountain cannot be a citizen of the United States. It's in there. It's in there. A lot of folks don't know it. And I said, every black family, a family claiming their color, you need a set of Black Law Dictionary. Trust me.
And especially like a 4th edition one.
The 4th edition, and you spun around and says, well, I know where it's, because page 792. We need to know these things, because the language in the street ain't the language in the courtroom.
That's so true.
You know, and when you get in there, you're in another whole world. You can't go in there with street jogging. You got to know what the laws are, and there are case studies. You know, why am I saying it? Because there are things we need to understand as indigenous people of this planet. We're letting too much get by on emotions and not using common sense and logic in it. We're not listening. And do you not know? And I'm going somewhere with this. I got it, but I'm sort of sliding away from it. That even in the church, and I told guys the other day, we keep saying God, He. It's not God, He. It is she. It's the feminine energy. The very first word, breath, is feminine. Without breath, nothing lives. Am I correct? Without energy and breath, nothing lives. So in the original text, there is no such word for God in the original text. These beings says in the ancient tongue of Paleo of Kuni, it says Barashit, Bara, Alahayim, Hasamayim, Wa'adet. In the beginning, the feminine breath created the world. Why did He breathe a blow and the spirit come? Without that, that's what. And what are the chemical makeup of breath? What is
air?
what's all in it? What's all in that air? Because without it, nothing really exists. There are some components. Now, why am I saying that? When you study IFA and science, All this comes out. And then here's the beauty of it. And we had for other day, we were talking with Brother Egun, Brother Egun. You say, what is triple darkness? We say, well, out of darkness came the light, right? So I'm going through the thing. So if we're going to follow cosmology, now watch this. I'm talking about divining now. Why do we start with Akbe instead of Oyeku?
I always say the same thing.
Look out. I'm going to show you something. When the ancestors came to me,
but you know, there's different, different, even some of the esoteric, and I've seen, and I have on my IFA shrine right over there, I have where Agbe is not always the first.
Yeah, that's from the masculine. I can get this to hold up.
Let me see. Do I have that one up here in the gold frame? Oh. Remember, I had a white piece of paper in the gold frame. I don't know. I might have took it down because I didn't have enough room when we moved. It's a different, like an esoteric.
Yeah.
I have a different order. I used to keep it up there, but I was like, I'm confusing too many people, so I took it down.
No, but here we go. They gave me this. I'll read in just a minute. If everything came out of darkness and everything is born out of Oyeku, why is it that Agbe did Oyeku? Actually, the order should be Oyeku, Ika, Obara, Irosun, Okanra, Ofun, Odi, Irete, Oturupan, Iwari, Oshe, Ogunda, Iworin, Osa, Otura, and Agbe. The light, it should be because now you're on the earth. You came from the heavens to the earth. And everything was born out of that. So why is it that the order was changed?
Well, another thing is I was taught, there's just so much. It's just so much. My head is starting to do the spinning thing. So, when you're sitting with the diviner and he's reading the Aponi Fa. So, for example, in my Odu, it would be light, dark, dark, dark. But when I'm sitting there, I see dark, 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 light because I'm on earth. So it's now it's in Okanran. So that's why Okanran, all the Ajagun have been defeated. Everything. I'm in Okanran now. You know what I'm saying? That's why you have to keep reinitiating yourself. So you got to remember there's always the opposite. So when I'm sitting there, he's reading and he sees one thing, but from here I see Okanran. He sees Obara Meiji.
Yeah. And so, but like I said, but we have been taught a particular way that was given, and I'm noticing the masculine concept. But now Chief Pome was showing us that they got Agbe right, and it's going right to left when it should be left to right to left and then left to right. But see, does it matter? Yes, it matters because the left side of us is feminine, the right side is masculine. You draw from the left and you give with the right. That's the 180 balance of the 360, in so-called human gene makeup. So the calendar, well, how does that work with this? But why is it important? Because the day you came to the earth, according to the sacred calendar, those are the energies that was operating at that time. You came through that, and therefore you picked up those energies. Like this is the month of Oshun, okay? And the day is Obatala. So if you was arrived today in this month, that's who will be operating, dealing with you with your Ori, that energy. Now the next thing is, what number on the 256 chart did you fall? Then you calculate that. Once you calculate, then it gives you some kind of a playbook. They keep saying, well, you born and God never gave you a manual. Yes, God did. She gave you a manual. You just chose not to follow it.
I agree.
And because you didn't follow it, you got all these messed up children, ain't got a clue. You cannot turn a baby to be on its own to raise itself without some kind of guidance. And we stop being parents and start trying to be friends.
Oh, you be making me go deep into my archives. I'm like, where is this order of Odu that I was received as a part of initiation into another society, you know, of IFA? And I'm like, ugh.
You know, and we've got to go there because it is so necessary in order to bring our people to where they need to be, that we can elevate. We got to quit imitating. We've got to get back to being original.
Well, that
one
starts
time
with
we were
because
known,
that gives you your blueprint.
yeah, because and back in the day, in the 50s and 60s, we were known for being original. Everybody was trying to copy the nigga. He got this, he got that, he got this. And then all of a sudden, they flipped the script. You know, you even got Chinese out dancing us now and everything. Come on, people.
You funny. I do be seeing the Koreans and the Japanese. I'm like,
Oh,
what?
man.
I was singing, I was dancing. I'm like, what
They
is that?
break down, they singing and dancing, and don't woo. I'm going like, at one time we controlled all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what I love to do with clients when they come to me, because people have such a mental crisis, they'll call me at 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't know why I'm sleeping or not. Baba, I had a dream. You did? What about the, I felt like one of my old doctors. Take 2 apples and call me in the morning.
Right.
No,
there's
but,
certain energies up at that time, man.
yeah, but I'm up and I hear the stress. And I'm trying to sit there and remind you, they go out and pay $6,000 for some dude, but they ain't calling him, they're calling me, and they ain't sending me a quota.
I know that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I apologize. May that not happen to you anymore.
But I want to say this. I told a guy before, everything we want to do, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this.
Which one? What does that say?
The New World OB divination.
Yes. I don't have a copy of that though.
The whole system's in there.
Let me
The
put that in
whole
the
system.
chat. The New World OB divination. Okay.
The whole system's in there.
I do want to say this, like, you know, like you said earlier, everything that people write in a book is based off of their own downloads, perceptions,
Right.
understandings. So I have noticed that I first learned how to deal with OB. She gave us practice shells. She had them on coconut. She, you know, stuff like that, but they were practice shells. Once we proved ourselves worthy and qualified, then they became consecrated, you know, with blood and all that type of stuff
Right,
in her outside. So I learned how to throw OB her way. But then when I initiated to Isheshe, I learned how to throw OB in a different way. And then from there, working with this Babalal, he did it this way. This one doesn't drag the OB. This one does it this way. And I realized lineages. Lineages again. We come from a system of families who were teaching their people, we're teaching their people, who were teaching their people. We don't have any system, especially amongst the diaspora. Like you said, what institution, what do we have? What do we call ourselves? We call ourselves Black. You know what I mean? Like, what is that? And we don't have any real lineage system. So we just going with hoodoo, Lukumi Santeria, all Condobile. We just taking everything.
You got it. And that's what the problem, because all that mixture coming in, why wouldn't you be confused? And when you meet somebody else, well, you ain't doing it right. Well, you ain't doing it right. Is anybody right? What is right for that time where I am.
Yep.
And if it's
Ori,
working,
that's what I'm saying. Ori is always the foundation. Your Ori knows.
Yeah. And
when you're not in alignment, it will show.
I've had people call me and say, well, I'm afraid. Thank you, my sister. I'm afraid to do it. Why are you afraid? It's yours.
Oh.
Well, they say if I do this, it's gonna happen. And you don't know. See, mine comes through trial and error. If you tell me I can't, that's the very thing I go do. Because that's why I learned. Even in the church, they told us in the church when I was in the church, pastor, we were not allowed to wear red. You know what I did one Sunday? I came in the church with a whole 3-piece red suit and matching shoes. Yeah, I did.
Hot.
They looked at me, hey, yeah, preach like somebody crazy with that red suit on. And nobody walked out. All I'm saying, sisters and brothers, quit letting people put jackets on you and you haven't done the research.
Yeah.
Look for your leap. Because make sure your intention is in line with your purpose. The only way you're going to know that, you're going to have to learn how to, and suppose you're a place where there is no Babylon, but there, and you need answers.
Like at the grocery store.
Yeah. Anywhere. And I've been in situations where I needed some answers then.
Yeah.
And have time to call. And if you call, and if you don't answer, that's a call miss. I'm a firm believer that every home needs someone in that house at least divine with one of the tools, whether it be car shells or whatever, because baby gets sick. You want to know what to do about it.
Robert, we so in alignment. This is the conversation that we're having in our own house, talking about we have to make sure each generation has that assigned person.
Yeah. And you call up Aunt Sue, because we had people back in the day when we had extended family, call Aunt Jane, call Meemaw, and they, for some reason or another, they knew exactly what to do. We had herbalists in the house, ain't never been to herb school. They know what root to get and what to do this and how to boil that and whole hound tea, cow, what you call it, hog tea and this kind of tea, cod chip tea. You ever had the cod chip tea? You know, well, that's a thing in the South. You know what cod chip tea is, right? Though
I sure don't.
That's dried up cow mess. You make a tea out and you drink it to get rid of all your fevers and sickness.
No. It's a no.
See, these berries and vines, they knew all of them. Wild onions, what to do with it? We've lost all of that.
Pull them up out the yard like I did, clean them off and put them in a mason jar. I just did that the other day, me and my husband.
You know, a lot of things already provide, but we're so busy trying to go with the pharmaceutical market that we're paying astronomical prices for stuff that's in the yard that we can heal ourselves with. But because we live in such a artificial thing, everything we get is based on artificial. Most of the food we eat has been designed to work against it because we're eating them what? Out of season. I know in a time in the South, they didn't kill hogs in the summer. They killed hogs that dead in the winter. Certain things you didn't eat in the summertime, you had it at a certain time. And every year, mom would do a cleansing. She would clean you out.
Castor oil.
Come on now. Black draw, you name it. Clean your system out, got you ready. We had less sickness. But since we left those old things, it was antiquated. It's so what you call it, dinosaurs. But we lived better and we was healthier. Now the pharmaceutical is $1 trillion business. So I'm saying this today that now why we need to learn how to divine. At least a simple one, the 4 Kara cells. At least learn how to do that. Because 85% of the thing we need is a yes and no answer. You know, that's beautiful. That's somebody made that up. Now I use the I have some 6 IE Kings. Have you heard of those?
Yes, those are powerful.
I have 6, with the 6 eyes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rare but great. Powerful.
Rare, but yeah. I have, that's what and I set mine up like that. I set up that vortex then I divine into the center of it to balance the energy. But like I tell everybody, and with that, we can teach the 4 concepts. It says no, you ain't got to be initiated. Here's the answer. Here's the pattern. But it's only a template to look at. Once you read that, then the spirit will kick in and tell you what you need to do. Or you can ask questions. I recommend, like to people before, the herbal book. All those herbs has magical properties and what they call like be used. We and you're not committing no crime by teaching them this. You know. When one time they had me so scared, I was scared to pick up old Pele. Then I went to the whoa, wait a minute. Then when I did get a chance to get it, they made us make ours. We had to sit down and actually make them take the pods and put it all together and measure it all out and fix it. So I have all of them. I have different kinds, you know. And I learned how to read them when I was throwing them. Now, do I need to memorize all the verses and things? That's how I was taught. Now that I can go to a book with the patch of keys in it, I can look up like you do your Proverbs in the Bible or the Psalms, look in there, read it, and then ask for a deeper interpretation. Then go back to work. Now, as I was saying before, and I want to go here, is that why is the calendar is so important? Why? Sister Abundant Child, why you think the calendar is so important or would be important? Or is everything's already all right the way it is?
It's a direct parallel and of our own natural cosmological system and that of the tangible godly archetype that we see in a woman. So for example, a man has a system that every morning it works on a 24-hour system where a woman has 28 days, you know, in her system. And so having a calendar system that represents that keeps everything in alignment in natural divine order.
The boy said a woman. I won't say a man, a woman. Correct. Because you were the one that designed it. Your sister's the one that designed it. You know, off your menstrual cycle and the moon. And what governs the season? The moon do. The sun don't. But because the man that came from the other planet couldn't deal with the feminine energy, he reduced it down to 12. You can ask the question, when the zodiac, who created it? Zodiac? Zoo? No. But and I was telling the guy the other day, that was a time when the Romans only had 10 months. The Roman calendar originally only had what? 10 months. Where did January and February come from? What does it mean? Could you pull that up, please? Sister Monica, the original Roman calendar had 10 months. I know she's there somewhere because we need to know it because we're following a Eurocentric mindset and ideology, and we're trying to make it out when it's not us. When you all gave us the perfect, according to the Essenes and the Betsy Scroll, we was given a perfect calendar of 28 days, 13 weeks. It says, yes, the original calendar did not. Here we go. March, see there? It only had 10 months. Now, where did January come from? The origin of January and the origin of February, because they didn't exist. Okay. Later, 700 BC, the 2 additional. Okay, let's look at that. Now, mind you, We've had our calendar of 13 months since 43,000 BC. This is 700. It's way down the road. And while we're following kindergarten cosmology, when we got the oldest calendar that's in alignment with Earth-based with cosmology and time, and where it even is to this day. They didn't want
It
to
says
deal
here
with it.
the Roman calendar was expanded to include January and February, likely around 700 BC during the reign of King Numa Pompilus. This addition aimed to account for the winter months and bring the calendar in line with the solar year. January was named after the god Janus, god of beginnings and endings, and February was associated with Febra, a festival of purification.
Ain't it funny that that Black History is in February? Ain't it funny that Black History is in February?
Yeah.
And the odd thing about it, if you look up, what is it? September, and October. Those are numbers. Now, August is named after a man, and July is named after a man. And then the days of the week are named after Greek and Viking gods. So we're paying tribute to somebody else's ancestors and things by following their chart. They didn't tell
And
us.
Oct is 8, but it's the 10th month. Like stuff not adding up.
No, it ain't. No. And because it ain't adding up, we're out there running around under the false illusion. And same thing is with the so-called, you take a whole celestial deal out and slide two together because you want to deal with 13, because this realm is governed by 13 constellations, not 12. It's governed by 13. Sister Monica, you got your calendar. Go to the 13-month side of it. And because why I say that, because in order to put things back, we got to put it back what's supposed to be. And it was you sisters that formulated that calendar.
13, it's 13 menstrual cycles, 13 moon cycles.
Yeah, the whole thing. And
The
you all made it, and when it comes
the
back
whole
to
turtle
13,
island thing, the turtle
yeah,
shell,
right. Yeah. And we taken away, and we wonder why things are messed up. But if we would just get back, and that's what we had a chance to do in 2000 when we had the eclipse and the portal opened up, and it says for this diaspora, we have to go back to the 13 because the world is counting on us. We're getting further and further away from the thing that we're supposed to be doing. Because until we get online with that energy and begin to do our what you call it, our rituals and ceremonies, whatever, based on that, we're not getting the full impact of the energy that should be operating. We're still feeding the oppressor.
And it said the 13th is Olokun, and it's the 13th
Yeah,
house
but
is Pisces,
February
21st through March 20th.
Okay, let's go inside the calendar. I've got a thing that says about the 13 months or 13.
How do we get this calendar? I'm like, what are y'all talking about? That you
This calendar.
I have it here. He mailed it. He sent it in mail to me.
Yeah,
I
that's
want to
what
buy
I was.
one.
I was given this to design for this Aspora, and we went on and had some made. This was back in 2000, and I have some. I'm getting some made now because that's how we bring our energy, and we do all our rituals and things based on the sacred IFA calendar of the Orishas of the week and the Orishas of the month. Yeah.
Yes, with salt and pepper.
No. So yeah. So did you get the inside of it, sister?
I don't know exactly what you mean the inside of it. I'm looking through.
Okay, well, you got the top page, and then we read off the other page last week about the law of time.
My eyes are so.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed that you were squinting.
I'm just. I told you. I just need to give these machines. Like I need a fast from them real quick.
I'm trying to figure out what page you want me to go to.
Well,
You want me to go?
one said the law of time, then the next page
Stick it in
at the
the
bottom
oven.
is talking about the 13 the 13 moons, I mean the 13 months
Or a cup, a mug.
at the should be because you got the red at the
Hey,
bottom.
wait, is there some creamer to cool this down?
Okay, the 13 moon, the 28-day
Yeah.
calendar is a way for all people everywhere who desire a genuinely new world. If the calendar and time we follow is irregular, artificial, and mechanized, so becomes our mind, as in our mind, so our world becomes as is our world today, irregular, artificial, and mechanized. But if the calendar we follow is harmonic and in tune with natural cycles, so also will be our mind, and so we may return to a way of life more spiritual and in harmony with nature. Each of the 13 moons has a power, action, and quality which gives us a program to synchronize our conscious with the cosmos. As a perfect measure of cosmic time, this calendar is actually a synchronometer, an instrument for measuring synchronicity followed daily. It gives us a new lens in which to perceive life events. The 13 moon 28-day synchronometer is a harmonic time-space matrix. It takes the moon 28 days to orbit the earth. It makes this orbit 13 times each year. The standard measure of is the 28-day cycle called a moon because it is the median between the 29.5-day synodic cycle of the moon, new moon to new moon, and the 27.1-day sidereal cycle of the moon. Hence, it is a measure of the Earth's solar orbit using the 28-day lunar standard. This creates a perfect orbital measure of 13 moons of 28 days, totaling 364 days, or 52 perfect weeks of 7 days each. Because the 365th day is no day of the moon or week at all, it is known as a day out of time. The law of time affirms that by nature of the universal timing frequency, the world is already as one. If it's only a humankind who has chosen separation.
Yeah.
This separation is reinforced by separation in time. Living by the clock and the irregular measures of the Gregorian calendar keeps the world from being as one.
That's it.
Well said. We're perfect. Great. I love it.
Yeah. And I was given that during the portal opening about getting us on time because that's the first time in the history of the world that we ever came to a complete standstill to get a start over. Everything, church, business, everything was brought to a halt. I mean, people was made to stay at home, couldn't go to work. I mean, it was a perfect. Then it opened up. It was Obatala and the other Orisha, and this came through. And then I was led to go do this, and it took me 90 days to develop this calendar.
9. Okay, 9.
90 days.
Born,
Once I got
transformation.
when I got it, then I carried it to the other Bible house and had it a reading done on it to make sure it was in alignment. And other week, brother Ogun was on it, and we got the reading, and the reading came back. He told what the Odu was and everything. It was well accepted, and we presented it. But we're so stuck on the European thing. A lot of folks didn't want us. Well, I can't make them take it. But now now they're getting into because they're finding out the world is backed up in chaos because we're out of time with cosmology and the system and our system. Therefore, in order for us to survive and get back, we've got to give respect back to that feminine energy and get it straight. Now, when I said a while ago about God being a woman, because everybody believes the Bible, and I gotta go there. Y'all don't mind me going there. Now, there's a thing called the Bible Hub, and in the Bible Hub, there's a thing called the Strong Concordance Lexicon. Most people don't know what a lexicon even is. That's known the other stuff. But there's a book it's called the Bible Hub. In the Bible Hub, it has all the Bibles, and it's called a Strong Concordance Lexicon, and it breaks down every scripture. Now, in the scripture, it says that rather than Genesis is not the first book, Job is the first book. But anyway, in that, when you go and God created the heavens and the earth, that word God doesn't exist there. That word is Elohim, and the first word is Barashit. Barashit means breath. That the breath, and bara means create. Breath created the heavens and the earth. The breathing, the utterance, and it was feminine. Huh?
I was just saying that. I was like, in me. And we have Eli.
Yeah.
Allah.
And then what I look at is, and it's odd that even in the book of Proverbs, chapter 8, verse 1, you can pull it up and then go to verse 22. No, you got your book, because I'm looking at Proverbs 8 and 1. Why that? Because people rely on the Bible as their source of life. When it's a book that you can use for reference. It's not a history book because it's out of chronological order. But Ben said rely on it. It's the most popular book to sell, but less read. So I use it because people have it. So I want them to look at something. And why did the King James have a female what's called the She Bible? Okay, here we got it. Let's go to the Strong Concordance Lexicon. Strong, you in the Bible. Let's see. You got to go to Bible Hub, Strong Concordance. Strong Concordance. That's Wycliffe. They killed him and burnt that dude. You got to type in Bible Hub and it'll carry to that page, and you're going to go to Strong Concordance. Yeah, nah, trust that. Bible Hub, okay. And then there we go. See the word say lexicon?
Mm-hmm.
Go to the lexicon. Okay, go to the lexicon. Type in Genesis 1. Okay. Now I want to go back. That's just Rashid. No, I want to go back to the Bible Hub. Oh, there it is. It says Barashit, Bereshit, beginning and chief. You see, it says in the beginning. The word is Barashit. Then the next word it got there is Elohim, because there's no word in the language for God. People didn't know that. The next word is bara. The next word is Asamayim and Ha'adas. So the breath, they put the word Elohim, but created the heavens and the earth. And they added that word, the word Elohim means power. It does not mean Elohim, because you got an Aleph, Lamed, Mem, a Shay, and a Resh. Okay, that letter, that word Elohim means power. The creative power made the heavens. The creative power of the breath made the heavens and the earth. They rearranged it, but that's in the Hebrew language. That's what it says in the original text. Now, in Proverbs, it says that wisdom, she, not him, her, she.
Her voice.
Her voice. In verse 22, she says what? 8:22, she says what? And why is this important? Because we're so misinformed.
You said what 8:20? What 8:22? Which one?
The Lord possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old.
Okay, say that again, baby girl.
The Lord possessed me in the beginning of his way, before his works of old.
Now, watch that word possessed. What's the next verse? What's the next verse, abundant child?
Hold on a second. I need to get my Bible out so I can just be reading it.
Did you want to?
I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was.
We were talking. Say it again. I'm gonna say it when you let you read.
I was set up from everlasting, from the beginning, or ever the earth was.
Before there was the earth, I'm already there.
Mm-hmm.
Now we ain't the same. You gonna find we're not the same. The word possessed is where they added in. But you're gonna find out that wisdom and the God are not the same. They're two separate entities.
Yeah. From the
Keep reading.
beginning,
Watch this.
reinforces the point that wisdom predates all of creation, even before
Right.
time, matter, or space.
Yeah. So come on, keep reading. Watch this. And a lot of folks don't know this.
What's the next verse? Hold on, let me put that in there. When there were no depths, I was brought forth. When there were no fountains abounding with water.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
All right. Before the mountains were settled, before the hills was, I was brought forth.
Mm-hmm. And
While as yet he had not made the earth, nor the fields, nor the highest part of the dust of the world.
uh-huh.
So when he prepared the heavens, I was there. When he set a compass upon the face of the depth. When he established the clouds above, when he strengthened the fountains of the deep. Telling us like it is, huh?
Yeah.
Next verse is when he gave the sea his decree that the water should not pass his commandment, when he appointed the foundations of the earth.
Keep going. Here comes the kicker.
Hold on a second, because I don't have my book in front of me, so I have to keep typing them in.
Okay.
Hold on a second.
So
the next verse after that is, then I was by him as one brought up with him, and
stop.
I was there.
I was. You see the
I
separation?
was by him.
Yeah, separation. I was what? By him as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight.
Rejoicing always before him.
Yeah. Come on, people.
Rejoicing in the habitable part of his earth, and my delights were with the sons of men.
Boom. I was with him or by him. That ain't the same. And daily his delight. Always abounding in wisdom. And without wisdom and knowledge, you can't be a king, you can't be a ruler. Because you got to have wisdom and knowledge and understanding.
Now therefore hearken unto me, O ye children, for blessed are thee that keep my ways. And hear instruction and be wise and refuse not. Blessed is the man that heareth me, watching daily at my gates, waiting at the post of my doors.
And that is in the upper hemisphere of the mind and the brain. We call them
whoso findeth me findeth life and shall obtain favor. For whoso findeth me findeth life and shall obtain favor of the Lord.
And it could go on and on. So my point, and we want to relegate the woman as being the downfall, when without the feminine energy, there is no world. You want to know who that us was in the beginning? She just told you who was there. Described it. Before ever the earth was, before all this y'all claim, she said, I was there. Because I'm there giving guidance.
You know what's deep to me about this is that, again, like we talked about, I think in the first episode that I was on, we talked about the Bible and what it is and how you were a preacher, pastor, and all of that, and what you came to find out. But for me, even with all the stuff that was changed around and the stuff that they kept, the stuff that they showed us, I honor the source. I honor the ancestor energy and source.
There's some gold nuggets in there. There's some depths of gold nuggets in there. And you got to know how to separate, you got to know how to decode it. One thing they taught me in the school, that you got to learn how to decode it. A lot of things are written in allegory and an allegorical form of metaphors. And you have to learn how to myth and how to decode it. Because every religion has some form of myth and allegories tied into it. But understand the hidden mysteries
And one of the things that I used to do when I taught Sunday schools, whenever, you know, they have the books already for us and you have to actually teach the lessons based off of the books that are, you know, provided,
right. Yeah.
I would always go deeper. So one of the things that I remember is wisdom being hokmah, which is personified as a feminine being, you know,
Right.
eternal, creative,
Right.
joyful, always close to Oludumare.
Mm.
The one that has the ashe, ofo, to speak divine authority, not an assistant, but a co-creator.
Right.
That's what the
Right.
delight of God is a co-creator.
Now I know you got the book because you showed it a while ago. IFA and the complete work of Orunmila.
Mm-hmm.
Now there is a powerful Orisha that nobody talk about. That's
Which
in
one?
the upper part. You go in the introduction. I think it's when man was coming to the earth.
First Dianosphere.
Yeah, and then her name is Aragba.
I love Aragba.
Oh,
When they
right,
all
right,
have to
yeah.
go into the chambers, and she was God's assistant, and
Right.
she was like, I will, you know, he
That's
always
who-
did his divination.
Okay,
So he was
that's
like,
who
yeah, I'm
wisdom
taking
is.
Aragba with me.
That's what wisdom was in Ifa, because Aragba, and she was so beautiful, they almost started a war over.
Yep.
A lot of folks don't know that.
Yeah, that's why this book really helped me to have a big picture understanding, and because it reads like a book,
Right.
I can't never forget it, and that's how I learned IFA, honestly.
Okay, sometimes these things help us to overstand, and then we're able to put the puzzle together and bring the whole thing to the forefront. That's why I love this, you know. And I'm so glad that you have the material, because I ain't got to go through all these books to try to find them. You got them read handy, you understand?
Yeah.
And I told people, this guy called Jesus, he's in the book. His name is Jehu's son. Jehu's son. He's already in the book.
Yeah.
He's in there.
I love it. When I read that, my mouth was like,
think about it. Huh?
I'm like, dude just didn't do this. He wasn't obedient.
Yeah,
he didn't listen. He didn't make the sacrifice. And so, yeah, your message is around the world, but you surely had a terrible death, man.
Yeah. And it's all in the book that he would not make it. He said he wouldn't make it. It's
so
already
going to make it for 33 years.
Yeah.
But that your message would be still heard, like, you know, many years after.
Yeah. So it's all, you know, and I appreciate you so much. But see, a lot of folks think I be talking. It's in the book.
Yeah.
Which book is that with Jay was on in there? I remember hearing that story.
It's more than in the book. It's in the Odu Ifa.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, in Odu. I remember.
Yeah.
What Odu is it?
She can tell you what Odu it is. Yeah. That's how you know what Odu. Nothing comes in without an Odu.
There's a and you know what they say is that, you know, you could tell the how old something is if it encompasses everything that exists.
Yeah, Jehu's son, and as an old dude that came in, to tell you all about what's going to happen and what took place. I'm like, wow. Remember, everything come from the spirit realm before it became manifested in the matter, and that come with an old dude. Even when Iyami came across, she had to come.
I heard the story with Jehu's son. He was supposed to be a Babalawo, but he didn't want to be a Babalawo because he didn't want people to look down on him.
I found it. God sent his only son, Jewish son, to earth.
Okay.
Hey, okay. You want me to read that?
Yeah. Let people know, you know, that we ain't against. We just know the story.
All right. The coming of Jewish son to earth.
Jehu's son.
It was only Oyeku Meiji. So hold on, let me go back. Oyeku Meiji. Mm-hmm. It was also Oyeku Meiji who revealed how Jewison came through this world. The Awo who made divination for him before he left heaven was called, and all these names of the Awos actually mean something. It's the son of God who was called Jewison in heaven was told to make sacrifice with the sheep and red cloth in order to survive the plot that was going to be hatched by human beings against him on earth. He was told also to give a he-goat to a Shu, which he bluntly refused to do because he had vowed to come to the world to destroy the forces of evil represented by Eshu. This is where I'm like, Okay. So You know, I mean, whatever.
Right? Yeah, because, yeah, they
Because
gotta have
we got
that.
to give people information. That's not how a shoe works. He,
Right.
however, agreed to make sacrifice with the sheep in red cloth. I just want to say this before I keep reading. When you do good, you receive good, okay? And when you do
Right.
bad, you receive bad. And Eshu is the one that's going to make sure that gets carried out. So you
Yeah.
better make sure you make offerings to him so it always goes the right way.
Mm.
He, however, agreed to make sacrifice with the sheep and red cloth. The owl told him that if he did not make the sacrifice to Eshu, it was the agents of Eshu that would kill him and shorten the span of his life in missionary works on earth. Since he had, however, made sacrifice with one sheep, he could wake up after 3 days and his fame would outlive him and returning to heaven. When he got to the world, as he was about to begin his work of preaching the objectivity of truth, the way people in heaven, the way people live in heaven, and the love of God for his creatures, Eshu appeared to him in a dream and warned him that not even God himself had succeeded in eliminating Eshu's influence from the entire planetary system. Eshu told him in the dream that if he did not give him a he-goat, he would have himself to blame because he would infiltrate his followership to destroy him. Jewison once again refused to serve Eshu on the ground that goodness can never surrender to evil. Jewison was actually killed 3 years after he began his work on earth. How did he become called Jewison? His mother had secretly gone to Arumila on the eve of Odu Aguntan's departure for Earth and persuaded him to make sacrifice to Eshu, which her son had refused to do. She came to Arumila's place with the he-goat just after sunset. Arumila told her that he would have to pluck 201 different leaves in the bush with which to wash the head of her son on the shrine of Eshu. Since it was not possible to wash anyone's head in absentia, there was no way of performing the sacrifice to Eshu. So when the women insisted that Arumila should improvise some arrangement, he replied by saying that the leaves in the forest were already asleep and should not be disturbed. The expression in Yoruba means Jewison, which Arumila said should be the name Odu Agutan. When he got to Earth, since Jewison was due leave for Earth the following morning, there was no opportunity of making the sacrifice to Eshu, and it was never made. When this Odu comes out of divination for a conceived child, the parents should be told that the child coming to the world is a reformer, but unless the special sacrifice is made for him, like Odu Aguntan was told to make in heaven, he would not live to accomplish his task, and that his popularity would only blossom after his death.
Wow. Come on. That's what I love about it. You already get a what you call a preview of what's going to take place when you understand the Odu they come through, the Apache key. Whether you accept it or believe it or not, that's up to you. But if you look at the narrative and the storyline, it's already there in place. And at least I don't know any other religious book they want to call it that, because we know this is not what it is, that gives you that kind of heads up. Now they're already talking about the Palladians when they came and the other world. Well, he probably already told you about the Dinosphere, how we all lived together at one time. And I bet when Orisha came, they brought 200 followers with them, and how they was all over the planet. That's why every house has an Orisha that governs the entire family. And you got those that get other things, but then Dara, when I got my roots reading, mine was Orumila. No, take it back. It was Ogun, but on my head it was Orumila. And then my family was E5 Baluje, which means they will not desecrate or dishonor the community. What my name meant. Okay, I've been doing this work a long time. You know. Then I'm looking at that. So, have you had your root reading? No.
Yes.
Well, I know
yeah,
you have, but I've talked to other people. What is that? What? So you're going to you're going to that's the why. I'm still online, baby.
What kind of cheese do you want?
Cheddar.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
You need to stay away from that dairy.
Huh?
You need to fast from some dairy.
Yeah, but
I will show you.
Yeah, okay. I know. Go on, beat me up.
I'm not beating you up. I'm just saying.
I know. I'm just kidding. Yeah, but I love me.
It's one of the hardest things to trust me.
Yeah.
But I got the cheat codes. I've been doing this since 1993. That's
Okay.
how long I've been vegan.
Okay, all right. You gotta hook me up. You gotta hook me up. Yeah, but anyway, so people, and what we're talking now is how we conversate. We're not attacking no group. It's just before you go join groups, know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
You know, before you jump, look before you jump. Ask questions. Do your research. Do your research and make sure this is what you want to do, because it makes no difference to get in these groups and all of a sudden you feel like you're in bondage. No.
Yeah.
If
Or you
it
feel
does not
abandoned
elevate,
because you ain't supposed to be there in the first place, or stuff is not working for you because your Ori didn't want you to do it in the first place. You went against your own code.
right? And that's why it
You
pays
have
to get.
free will.
Okay. See, I'm so glad you're here. I promise you I have. You tell her, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But see, the thing about it is, we get caught up in want to be accepted, want the approval of, and that's not what it's about. It's about spiritual elevation, growing. Whether you're in a house or not, your character and your growth and fulfillment of your assignment is what you gotta give an account for when you stand back before the council. When you give your report, they gotta check and see if you checked all the boxes. And that's where the problem gonna come in at. An excuse won't get it. That's why I say the calendar is gonna be a key.
Okay, that's funny. I was just getting in my head. How do we get back to the calendar? Okay.
Yeah. Because the calendar is gonna give you the key, because the calendar is arranged for the celestial guidance of this planet, and every Orisha that governs that day is on that. So you recognize all that energy at one time, and you got it working for you. Got a whole thing working in your behalf. So the calendar is 28 days. There's no leap year, and the thing about it, it starts at the season change. It don't start on day one. Day one starts on the season change, and 28 days thereafter. And I'm telling you, it works. It flat works. So I had to go back, pull out the blueprint, carry it to the printer, and we getting some more made up, because the calendar, we had the calendar back in a couple of years, but anyway, it's still active. So I'm having something made up now. Lady called the other day, got to get my calendar. I heard what you said, got to get my calendar, because I want my work to not only be in the permissive realm, but in the divine. So get it to divine. If this is going to get me there, I said, well, let me give you this, sister. If y'all designed it, who undesigned it? It was Julius Caesar. He couldn't deal with that feminine energy. Yep. So he took it out.
Demonized the number and everything. 13.
Yeah. Everything. You saw that when you count the number, even the numbers don't fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's time for us to really take a hard look at it, and then begin to re-identify everything we have, and then bring it to full manifestation.
It's like, the planets have different speeds and movements. So like we were talking about the moon cycle, like that's why a woman, we have these 28 days, and it's one of the fastest moving planets. Mercury's another one.
Keep talking. I want to get something. Keep talking.
So like Mercury is very Ashu aligned because it governs communication, contracts, crossroads. When it goes into retrograde, it activates a deep, like a review and inventory, where you can use it for revelation. Most people always identify it and give it a negative connotation, like it's confusion, like it's a punishment, but it's really a reset. Venus is very Oshun aligned. It rules, she rules, it has jurisdiction over love, beauty, values, systems, fertility. In her movement, that planet affects how we relate to others and honor ourselves. Saturn is very like fatherly, Obaluaye type of energy, give karma, time, restriction, discipline. In the moon, it's like your emotions, your cycles, your water, your memory, the womb. So all these daily phases and these monthly rhythms, they sync directly with especially women's bodies, the way the earth is aligned, and our spiritual clarity, which translates to our destiny, Ayanmo. And we have to stop acting like the heavens are distant. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's why I was tipping out the room. There was a thing that I was reading about the Palladians. The Earth is called the Palladian Earth Library, and in it, it's talking about the power of the menstrual cycle. In it, you might have heard of it. It's called the Palladium Earth Library, and you talk about those that came in and the power of the menstrual cycle. And then I was looking at where Paul Beaumont, who was a mathematician who talked about the women from the Lubombo Mountains and how they designed the calendar. And when you look at that, you go back to, have you heard the group called the Shea people? I mean, the same people.
Yeah.
Okay, they go back almost 200 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
That, you know, what you're talking about with the Palladians and stuff like that. And I have a lot of books on stuff like that, which I said it took me a long time to understand. It took me 40 years really to really understand my menstrual cycle, that it was more than a biological function.
Right.
It was more like a cosmic tuning device that each woman had with it's a portal and like a dimensional gateway.
Right.
And it's a way that ancient memory can return to us and spiritual messages can be received. And also it shows us our own personal timelines. And if you have structures with other women, as you know, sometimes they sync up, it's ways that we can clear past, present, and future timelines, clear them and reset them. Beautiful. In our lineage. So if you're not hemorrhaging and you're eating right and not hemorrhaging all over the place, having cycles that are lasting more than like 3 days, because you have a good diet that's in tune with your biological system, it's a release and a purification, because really it should just be a flow. It really shouldn't even be blood like that, because it is now you're hemorrhaging, but that's a whole nother thing. So every time we go through that system, it is a reinitiation. It's a death and rebirth ceremony. And it's charged with the codes, because in that blood is the codes. It's that, our DNA. Right. So when you honor it and you don't just discard it in the toilet and you bring it, back
come on.
You use it as ritual. You can use it for prayer or as an offering to harmonize the energy fields. So when we start seeing blood as a gift, it carries our wisdom and it carries our keys. But when you shame it and you're like, oh my God, I can't stand it, my cycle's coming on, and you don't understand your cramps or distraction that's happening. So
that's another problem.
So that's why you got to teach the youth, the women, to sync with the moon, sync with the stars. That's why I can't wait to get my hands on that calendar. And I'm glad that you brought up the whole Pleiadian thing, because they always stress that the menstrual cycles were originally synced to the moon. Right. The new moon is bleeding, the full moon is ovulating, and it will tell you. So when I was like, my cycle, when my cycle used to come all the time on the new moon, I always know, like, this is not a time that I'm supposed to be procreating. When it came on a full moon where I'm ovulating, I'm like, oh, okay, be careful. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because you can get pregnant.
Right, yeah. So, and these things, the old women teach young women. And us old men should teach young men. But we're not. We're so busy being in competition. Everybody's in being competition. And that's sad. And I'm glad you put me, because I was trying to find my book, but it's in the other room and a stack of other books, and I've been gone to. But it was called Palladium Earth Library, and it talks about the power of the menstrual cycle.
You said Palladian Earth Library?
Yeah.
What I was going to say, I think that's also like a charge for us as human beings to kind of get out this artificial world where we work for someone. Because if you, even with this, what I saw here when I was at Omawa, we had this document here that talked about working, like taking on this calendar as a 4-day calendar, work a 4 day a week calendar. Right. And in order to even implement this, you would have to kind of step out of working you would have to probably work for yourself, because you would have to like start to in order to really, because you can't be split minded, going to work every day, everybody's on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then you're on something else. So it almost charges you to get out of like the matrix of like the corporate or whatever regular world, to be able to implement this into your life.
I want to be able to add on to that.
Well, it pushes us to
the 9-to-5
entrepreneurship.
grind system is designed for a masculine hormonal clock. A man's body operates on a 24-hour hormonal cycle. Men have cycles also. Testosterone energy and the focus peak is in the morning. It declines at night, and it resets the next day. And it's structured for day-to-day grind to fit his biological earthly rhythm. Right? We're not talking about the spiritual divine. We're not talking about divine femininity and masculinity. We're talking about, our earthly roles within these different genders. A woman's body operates on a 28 infraradian cycle, which is very similar to the moon. And so we have hormones like estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone that rise and fall weekly, not daily, which affects our mood. It affects our energy, our focus, our libido, and our creativity. And all of those various different things have jurisdiction with various different orishas. That's why when you get a dafa or you get a divination, it'll show you the aladimu, what orisha is working with you. So if you're, our system is cyclical, is more cyclical. It's not linear. So because each phase of the menstrual cycle comes from a different medicine, a different gift, and a different need. So the menstrual, which is our inner winter, is retreat, vision, and reset. So amongst our families, we should be telling our sisters when we're in that cycle, please bring me my teas. I need you to be doing the dishes and the laundry and that type of stuff. Allow us to retreat, vision, and reset. When our spring, which is follicular, that's when we should be planning and starting and be high energy. When we're on ovulation, which is like the summer, it's connection, it's creativity, and it's leadership. And when we're in luteal, which is autumn, it's completion, it's reflection, and it's boundary setting. These are the same things that are set up on the Aponi Fa, north, south, east, and west in the various different quadrants. The same thing we see in the Hopi tribes, that it's a circle with the four, like the cross. You know what I'm saying? So,
and I even wonder if people like probably in like the traditional ways, when they were on certain cycles, when they were menstruating, probably were separated from the family to cleanse or whatever, or brought to a certain area.
They were only separated if women were actually bleeding like too long. That showed that the woman was not in alignment, and they were separated. Get your itch together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But basically, to your point, I was just trying to say that the 9-to-5 is not aligned and is spiritually violent to a woman's natural rhythm.
And that's
I agree.
Well said. And that's what I think.
We need to restore cosmic order. Thank you so much to your Orishun, to your Egungun, to the Orisha that are working with you, and to the Arumale that preceded them, and obviously Lashe Oludumare.
Asheo. So that's what we're trying to get people to understand. Education before initiation. Understand what you're doing. Understand what's happening. And bring the power with, because there's no reason why we should not be excelling, because we're so divided and disproportionate that we're not following a protocol or system for unification. You understand?
And let me tell you something. It seems like more and more they are taking away the foundation of all these things like jobs. Okay, now you have DEI and you have all this stuff. Like, okay,
give thanks. I'm actually thankful for all of that type of stuff.
So this is the time to adapt some of these new understandings and how to live, because when you adapt this thing, and now you can become and be able to manifest things in another way, you need to probably tap into some of your more natural gifts and not be focused on getting a job somewhere working for the system, because it's going to take you outside of your natural your natural clock. Because even with COVID, that whole thing, it kind of like jarred everybody's time, if you think about it. Everybody was into a time.
It was actually a reset.
Yeah,
And
and
we're not,
so people stopped going into the office. People started working from home
and
and
couldn't get them
becoming
all to go
remote
back
workers.
either.
Yep, it's getting hard, and then people are trying to get people to come back. But
They-
the more and more like that people don't want to work in these offices, and this that they want to be able to have their own time frame and do what they want to do. So to me, if we're also like kind of getting away from that kind of going 9 to 5 hustle and bustle on the highway every morning, cars honking, dangerously driving to wherever you're at because everybody's rushing to get somewhere, trying to get to whatever job they have to get to early in the morning, stuck in traffic, eating, in this place with this weird lighting, working somewhere or wherever you might be working. You might be working outside, whatever you're doing.
Mhm.
It's a rat race.
Well,
And-
it's forcing us to evoke Obatala.
You know, and I was looking. Don't do that. You're about to make me go and start.
Right, we about to wrap this up because it's 1:55. We've been here for 2 hours. I did definitely want to before we go, because this is the next thing that we're gonna do. We didn't really get really deep into this, but we touched on it. We really focused on the lunar calendar and why, because before we even start to divine for ourselves, we have to get our time right. Get your mind right, get your time right. You understand? Because if you don't have your time right, how could you have your mind right? You're living in an artificial time and everything. So how could you even be able to?
You're so right, and we got to get out of that, because your stuff won't come out right. So it's time to set the record straight. And like I said, you can put my address and number up. The calendar is $30, and that's including making and shipping. It's all in one deal, and you can cash out me. But I've got them, get them made up now. I've got an order already being processed, and you can get that, and it's going to help you to do what my sister's doing. And you tell your husband, I said, I appreciate him. Well, I know you on here, but having that balance, that energy, and being able to relate, that's what making this thing work. You know, that, so and I say, and we're not trying to belittle, we're trying to inform and elevate. Now, would you agree or disagree?
What's your cash at?
It's gonna be E5. It'd be $ E5 Blue J. Sister.
Blue Jay. I'm putting it in the chat.
Okay, it's a $ IFA BULUJI.
Oops, sorry.
I was like,
I'm hit the wrong thing.
Got it. Okay. You can pin that one. I just put it in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, this comment has failed to post too. Okay. It won't allow me to post it.
Okay. Well, anyway, it's $, then it's E5 IFA BULUJI. E5 Blue J. And the calendar is $30, and that's it, including shipping. That's it right there.
Do we put our address in the notes or something when we send it?
Yeah. Put that in there, and that way I know where to send it to, and we'll get that underway.
So just so you guys know, next week we're gonna kind of go into we're gonna go a little bit deeper into the actual divination, like to really understand Alafia, Itawa, Ejife, Okana, Oyekun. Because now once we get the time right, then we can be able to say, okay, now how do we use these things to make decisions? And you get up in the morning, you think your Ori, you probably should be divining.
Orisani Gede. Yes, every day.
Every day, thanking your Ori for and then if you can't get the Obiobata, which are these things, that there's two different ones. There's one that have I think 5, and there's one that have 4.
Right.
So you got to make sure you get the one with the right amount of.
Get your Kara shells. It's simple. Get your Kara shells, because you got to try to keep them up, and we'll work with the Kara shells.
Yeah, the OB kind of can get bad after a while because of it's really a seed, So
yeah, get the Kara shells, the shell, shells you can always count on. The other you can fade if you don't keep enough water and this, that, and other. And you got to do a certain with a ceremony ritual before you break the coconut with permission. But with the shells, you can go to work.
I think there's also
I like the coconut because you can get a coconut and quarter it and use it, and we'll get more into that. I don't want, but like I said, this is step in the right direction.
Yeah, and sometimes you can get the coconuts that are already shaved for you, so you don't have to worry about them getting bad and rotten and stuff like that. But
I make those.
Huh?
I make those and consecrate them for people.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. Well, here, let's contact Abundance Child if you want to get some of the coconut divination tools. Right. And then if you guys go get the tools, and we can like show you when you come here how to use them, and we can start to do like have that conversation next. Because it's one thing to just talk about just give the information, but I wanted to also be able to show people how to practice.
Right. Yeah.
All right, 33 to Baba Yashaba Ashe. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure that you hit. I put his number up there. I know you already got it, Abundance.
I called him already. I called him already. Been praying for him, sending him white light.
My sister. Yeah. Yes. Indeed.
But we need our textbooks.
Yeah.
We need. This is living Odu. This is new Odu.
Yeah.
Created. And I need that textbook when we in class like this.
Yeah, we need to start having a textbook. We need to really start
which one you're looking want to have?
What we just paid you for.
That's Lunar calendar textbook.
The calendar. Oh yeah, that's on the way. Okay, so we'll be on that, and we'll get that in the mail. I'll call the printer tomorrow and see how many has ready, and we'll get that going. Yep, yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
We have because I have been kind of showing you guys, giving you guys an idea what these things look like, so you can see, like okay, Ejiogbe, Oyeku Meiji, Iwori Meiji, Odi Meiji, Irisun Meiji, Owanri Meiji, and as you can see, okay, one looks like the opposite of the other. If you actually look, paying attention, one is okay, like so. Agbe, looks like it's all light, right? And then, but it is it's 4 light on the right and 4 light on the left. Oyeku is 4 dark on the right and 4 dark on the left. You understand? And so as you can see, the different patterns and like how they're laid out, and that's what we're going to discuss next week. Is really to break it down.
We'll get into that, and we'll get more into it and help you to understand what's. Really
and we're going to also go into consecration. Why certain things? Why is there when is initiation necessary? Right? Because it's one thing to just say, oh well, I could just do this, certain stuff, but there are certain aspects of initiation that we say, okay, you might need to get initiated. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we don't want to sit here and just say, well, no, initiation is not necessary.
Definitely got
there. We go. Right. Next week, that's what we're going to get into, and then we're going to go into also like because certain consecrations need to be done when you have certain divination tools. They have to be fed to be even more to have certain powerful things. You want to really go too deep into it, if you want to go further than yes or no.
All these books,
you got to look.
Yeah.
All right. Well, look, we're going to play my favorite part about the money, because you gotta have it.
Oh, right. Yeah, she did. She just sent you some sent you 33. So we want to say we want to play our money song. Yeah, because that's what
okay.
Yeah. and we don't want to forget the platform that we're
to make money.
Please,
Money making money.
Did you say?
I'm saying please support this channel, this information, because it's worth it. It's worth supporting,
Yeah, definitely.
I am blessed to make money. Money making money. Money making money. Money making money. Money making money. Manifest making money. Money making money. Money making money. Money making money. Gratitude is my attitude. I'm making money moves. Jewelry in the safe, piggy bank on full. And I'm living life abundant. I'm making money fast. I'm a money making magnet, making cold hard cash. I'm making money. Oh, I am blessed.
Ashe. Thank you so much, and thanks for everything. Thank you for being
What
here.
happened to Baba?
I don't know. I think he left. I think he had to, that was his exit.
I love it.
Man, that was sweet.
I was making him hungry, huh?
Right. I'll talk to you later, man. Thank you, Motive Pray, everybody, for being here. See you next week. Shouts out to Abundant Alchemizing Energy, bringing darkness to light. I said you want to say something? Go ahead.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
She just want to say hi.
I love it. That was good energy. I loved it.
Yeah. All right. So listen, I'm tired. I'm hungry. You making me hungry.
I couldn't do another 3 hour and be like, oh, eating at 11 o'clock.
Right. Yeah, we're hungry. Wait, replay gang. Everybody just go ahead and catch the replay. I don't know. We're about to get something to eat. So
All right,
much love.
love you. Till next
Peace.
time.
Till next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye. Trying to get it right. Transition. Changing the way that I see life. Transition mind. I'm on a mission. Trying to get it right. I'm transitioning my life. Making a transition. Ooh, making a transition. Ooh, 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 ooh. Making a transition. Ooh, 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 ooh. Making a transition. Ooh, ooh. Trying to mission. I'm on a mission. I'm trying to get it right. Changing the way that I see life. Transition in my life. On a mission.